Shalom. Today we're going to focus on a Bible code about Behemoth and Leviathan and some other creatures that were created by Yahuwah. The access term is Behemoth, and it's found here in the red, going down, and it's at a skip of 659 letters. Now this whole Bible code matrix is found within the scope of Genesis 1 verse 1 to 8 verse 2. This section of scripture talks about the creation story and goes into the story of Noah and the ark. So Behemoth is there, as I said, and it's also in the red going across this way. Leviathan is just 3 rows above Behemoth going across in the red with the black lettering. So how I'm going to present this table is with the days of creation and what Yahuwah created on each day. So in Genesis chapter 1 verse 3, he created light and darkness. And here is the word illuminate in the yellow, sharing a letter in another word. And then skipping to day 2, it says that Yahuwah created the expanse, the heavens and the air. Heavens is in blue here, ha-shamim. The word atmosphere is here in this teal. And going to day 3, which would be Genesis 1 verses 9 to 13, Yahuwah created the land and the trees. So land is here, haaretz, in the brown. As for the trees, we have the word oak, and that's starting with the aleph. And day 4, Yahuwah created the sun, the moon, and the stars. So the one word that stood out to me was Mars, but here is Mars in the black and red. Day 5, the great whales, the fish, and the birds were all created. And that's where Leviathan, I believe, would have been created. Lived in the water, predominantly. That would have been one of the biggest creatures, if indeed it was a dinosaur. Same with Behemoth. So going from one of the largest creatures to one of the smallest, we have the word amoebic here, an amoeba, a very small one-celled organism. And for birds, we have kingfisher here in this light blue, quail, starting at the top, going down. Kiwi. Okay, kiwi is here. And then on to day 6, Yahuwah created land, animals, and man. So we already looked at the 2 behemoths. Then another small creature that he created is the ant. And the ant is talked about in Scripture. The snake, or the serpent, ha-nakash. The final creature that he created was man. And man is right at the top, in the middle. And then later on in Genesis, there was a mist that rose up from the ground to water the earth. And we have the word evaporation here in the blue. So the water going up from the earth. And now we're going to look at some words in this table that are related to time. And the first one is primeval, and it's here in this light green. And that means the very early times of history. And we have ancient here, going down. We have antiquity here. in the peach. And in the plain text we have the name of the person who lived the longest, Methuselah. We're going to look at some words about creation. After Yahuwah created it all, he called it good. He said it was very good. And perfect is here in the pink, going up diagonal. And then we have baby here. And then if you add the hey on the end here, it makes it reproduction. So he created everything able to reproduce, male and female. In the purple, it's life. All life comes from Yahuwah. In this fuchsia, this is ashamed. When Adam and Eve sinned in the garden, it said that they were ashamed and they made coverings for themselves. In this green, going up diagonal, this is the word matching. Yahuwah made male and female. And that's one thing the evolutionists can't explain, how we have a male and a female, because they have different bodies, but they have the right reproductive organs to make the babies. So they can't explain how that was created, ready to go. And then we have the word cunning, or wile, W-I-L-E, here in this green. And that speaks about the serpent. He was more cunning than all the creatures. If you follow that line over, you can see that it touches the shin in Hey Nakash, the serpent in the garden. In the plain text, I'm going to go over what these scriptures are later, but here, the first 5 letters here, that means according to its kind. So all of the creatures reproduced according to their kind. There wasn't intermingling of species. And we have Elohim in the purple. Yeshua is in this different purple. It's almost spanning the length of the table. To create is in the orange. And it's touching Elohim. And he's the one who created. Materialization or realization, coming into being, is here. Messianic is underneath Yeshua. Yeshua is in that purple. Messianic is 2 rows down. So now I'm going to get into the scriptures that I've highlighted in the mauve. It tells a story from the first beginning to the next beginning. You'll understand what I mean. So this here, what I've highlighted, it says, and Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And that verse actually crosses man. I thought that was pretty amazing. In Genesis 2:20, this says, and Adam gave names. So that was one of his first assignments, was to give names to all of the creatures. And it's crossing over Behemoth. This next passage is Genesis 3:6. It talks about the fall of man. And it says, she took of the fruit and did eat, and gave also to her husband with her, and he did eat. So that's the fall. And then I already mentioned Methuselah here. He almost lived to be 1,000 years. With the curse that Yahuwah put on Adam and Eve for sinning, he said the warning that he gave them, he said, in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die. To Yahuwah, 1 day is as 1,000 years. So no human has ever lived past 1,000 years. Methuselah lived the oldest, 969 years. Some say that it was the same year that he died that the flood came. Actually, some say the flood came 7 days after he died. And his name is a prophecy that says when he dies it will come. And so that would have been the judgment that came with the flood. This next row right underneath is Genesis 6:8. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahuwah. So the Father had mercy. He was going to judge the earth because it was corrupt and men were doing evil continuously. This next scripture is Genesis 6:20, where it talks about, like I said, according to its kind, the fowls, the cattle, and the creeping things reproduced according to their kind. And Yahuwah said to Noah, 2 of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. Yahuwah brought the animals to Noah. He didn't have to go round them up. And the final verse is Genesis chapter 8, verse 1. And Elohim remembered Noah, and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. After Noah, that was the second beginning. The first one was with Adam and Eve. The second one was with Noah, his wife, their 3 sons, and their wives. And the last words that I'll show are here in the orange and black. And it's Job chapter 40, where Behemoth is mentioned. And here is the word 40. And Job cuts right through Job. And on the very same line that 40 is Behemoth. And so in the context of this verse, where 40 is used, it's talking about the flood, that it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. And so that's the table about Behemoth and Leviathan. Thank you for watching. Shalom.